Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Kim, and today I'm just going to talk a little bit about my life as a social worker. So I got my MSW from the University of South Carolina in 2008. I was 24 years old. So what I did was I did my 4 years of undergrad, got a degree in sociology with a minor in criminal justice. Then after that, I um, just didn't really know what I wanted to do with that degree. So I started looking into the social work program, and I decided that I wanted to try the MSW program at USC because I felt like it was a very broad program. It would give me more options for finding work because I was still trying to find my way, trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. So I felt like the social work program would give me more options. And I knew I wanted to work in the helping field in some way. So I went ahead and that May I graduated from Claflin 2006, and then in that fall I went to USC and started my social work program. It took me 2 years to get my master's degree. They also had a fast track for people that had a social work undergrad degree and they just needed 1 year to complete the master's, but because I didn't have a social work background, I had to do the 2 year program, which was fine. I really enjoyed it. Um, so I decided from there, after I got my master's, I graduated in 2008 with the master's degree, and I was kind of like, okay, what now? Where do I go? What kind of job do I want? In school, they don't really prepare you for the real world. I don't feel like I was prepared to actually work in the field at all. I mean, I did get good experiences. Like my first internship was at it was with an agency called Austin Wilkes, and they had an alternative school. It was focused on youth. They had an alternative school that I worked at, but they also did foster care and a couple other things. But I was placed at the alternative school. Um, and that was okay. The kids there were some tough ones. But and then in my second year, I worked for an agency that did forensic interviewing. So I got to witness that, participate in that. Um, that was really interesting. That was very heavy. It's a lot to handle, but with social work field in general, most jobs are going to be a lot. You're going to be carrying a lot on your shoulders. So you kind of got to learn how to handle that. And I feel like I do fairly well with handling it. You got to learn when to turn your emotions on and off. Everybody can't do that. Everybody can't be a social worker. But self-care. Self-care is a big one when you're thinking about social work. So anyway, so after I did that, got my master's in 2008, I started working at a daycare as a teacher. And of course, that didn't pay much, but I was just a single girl, still trying to find her way, still needing experience. So I didn't mind. It was fine for me. Um, it was it was good experience, working with children. That's always been my passion. That's another thing I didn't mention, that I always knew I wanted to work with children in some type of way. Just didn't know how I wanted to do that. So I worked at the daycare as a teacher. And then after that, I applied for a couple jobs. They was asking for all this experience. And I'm like, well, how do you expect people to get experience if you're not going to give them a job? Like, I still to this day cannot understand that they want you to go to school, get all these degrees, and then when you have that degree, they still want the experience. Well, somebody got to give me a chance. Somebody got to give me a chance to get that experience that I need. And even though I did the internships and stuff, that didn't count as my experience, and I will put that on my resume, but they still didn't count that as experience. So I worked at the daycare for about 3 years, and then I got my first social work job as an early intervention specialist. And with that job, I worked with children birth to age 3. and they all had some type of like developmental delay. That we would go out, do family training. So basically, you would come up with a plan. Well, you first we would do an assessment, and the referrals would come from like usually the doctors. Doctors would put in referrals when they felt like a child had some type of delay or they weren't aging according to like hitting their milestones. So we would get the referrals like that, and then we would go out, do an assessment, and come up with a family plan. And based on that family plan and assessment, we would do family trainings every week. I had to meet with all 25 of my clients every single week for an hour, and we would work on whatever their need was. Just say if there was a child that was 8 months old and wasn't crawling yet, and the doctor was like, okay, let's go ahead and get some early intervention so we can work with them. So what I would do is do a referral for physical therapy, of course. But then I would go out every week as well and work on them with gross motor skills. So I would have like some equipment, toys, different things like that I could do like the basics with, because of course we weren't certified PTs, physical therapists, or occupational therapists or anything like that. But we were trained enough to where we knew different activities and exercises that we could work on with the child, as well as supplementing that with their actual physical therapy or occupational therapy or whatever other kinds of therapy they needed. A big one was speech therapy. We got a lot of referrals from children that needed speech therapy. They weren't yet talking. So speech therapy was a really, really big issue. From that job, okay, so from the early intervention job, I then went on to do, Lord, I can't even remember. In 2014, for about 3 months, I did this program called SC Jump, and it was a partnership with the Department of Social Services here, and it was working with individuals who were getting like welfare stipends monthly, but they were having issues with employment. So I was an employment specialist, and I had to come up with a plan for them and assist them with their job searches and stuff like that. And that job actually, it paid pretty well. But I did it for 3 months and couldn't do it anymore. Like I said, children are my thing. I can work with kids all day. And of course, when you're working with children, you got to deal with the parents. But at this job, when the focus was on the parents, helping them find employment, I tell you, adults is something else. I just cannot. I had a girl once fight me because we would give out a gas card every week. Based on her turning her job searches, saying that she was actively looking for employment. Well, that week she did not turn that in, so I could not give her a gas card. Well, oh my gosh, she called me every kind of B's and this and that you ever want to hear. And because she was mad, she couldn't get the gas card and she wanted to fight and all that. And then from that day forward, I knew I just could not do that job. So I went looking for a position. I actually had a job that I interviewed for a few months before that, and they called me back, but I turned it down because it paid a few $1,000s less a year than the one that I was currently working. So I was like, nah, I don't think I want to go back. Trying to move forward with my pay and keep climbing that ladder. So, I declined. But after that incident, and then I couldn't get along with my supervisor, I called that lady back and I was like, do you still have that job? And that job was doing disability case management. So with individuals, it was through the South Carolina Department of Disabilities and Special Needs. And what our agency did was, it was a state position, like we got state benefits and all that from the state, but it was still their own separate agency. So with that job, I had to drive my car to do my home visits. And I didn't mention that when I did early intervention, I also had to use my own vehicle, which wasn't bad, because I was going to get to, after all of this, in the end, I was going to talk about how that mileage and being paid mileage can help supplement your income. So Anyway, I took that job at the Department of Disabilities and Special Needs doing disability case management. It's like intellectual disability, so people that may have had like a mild delay, like a intellectual delay, low IQ, and they were in need of we work with Medicaid waivers, so they may need personal care services if they weren't able to physically take care of themselves, if they needed like day program services. So just say they needed supervision, then we would help with getting like a day program set up for them. We even help with employment services if there were some clients that were able to work. We would get them set up with an employment specialist to help them with that. And I absolutely love that job, but they started changing things and I just couldn't meet the demands anymore. It became a lot. I worked there for 5 years. So it brought me into my current position, which is it's called, our program is community-based prevention services. I am considered a case manager, and with this job, I also have to drive my personal vehicle to do my home visits. So what I do is we get referrals from the South Carolina Department of Social Services, and those referrals are about like child abuse and neglect. But we get like the low risk cases, but sometimes I tell you some of those cases that come in, I'm like, why do we have this case? Shouldn't that be law enforcement? Shouldn't that be DSS? But anyway, that's a conversation for another time. But and we go out, do an assessment, do family plans, and see if there's any supportive services the family may need, based on whatever that report on that referral was, and we try to help them. Now, if it is like too much of a high risk and it's something that we can't handle, then we do report that case back to DSS, and then they take over and do what they need to do, because they can do investigations and all that. We don't do investigations. We gather information. But anyway, so yeah, a lot of people talk about social work pay. You don't make any money. Da da da. Okay, I didn't go into social work for money. I went into social work because, for one, it was a broad degree. I knew I could do a lot of things in social work, which I have done. Just telling you those jobs just now, that's pretty. I've had all types of experience, all types of jobs. Social work is a really good field to go into if you can handle it, because sometimes it can be a lot. It's a lot of paperwork. They don't tell you about all that paperwork and stuff at school. I'll say most of my job is the paperwork end of it. Me running, seeing clients is okay, done, over with. But sitting down, typing it all up, doing all this paperwork, making sure the proper things get entered in when they need to be, that's the hard work, I would say. But I've had 3 jobs: early intervention, disability case management, and then my current position where you actually have the potential to make, because you are driving your vehicle, they have to reimburse you for your gas mileage. And I believe in South Carolina, the max reimbursement is 55 cents per mile. But currently, I think I'm being reimbursed like 48 or 51, one of those. But anyway, you have the potential depending on how much you drive. Now, with my job as a disability case manager, I could go see my clients anytime I wanted. So I could drive really as much as I wanted to, and had the potential to make maybe an additional $3,000 to $6,000 a year just from mileage. So think about if your salary is, and this is just a number, this is not what I'm actually making, $35,000 or whatever, and you can pull in an extra $3,000 to $4,000 every year, and it's not taxed. Your mileage is not taxed. I think you're doing fairly well. You can consider that extra income, additional income, and then the more money you make, if you get a job, make it $40,000, and then you make an additional $4,000 or $5,000 a year just in mileage, untaxed mileage. I think you're doing pretty good, because it's some people that's sitting in the office all day and they're making 35, and they just get 35. That's it. They're just sitting there all day. And I mean, that's fine for them, but I do like the fact that I can make basically as much money as I want to make, going out doing these home visits. And it depends on how far you drive. Now, with my current job, sometimes I drive an hour to 2 hours away from home. So you do the math, that's adding up. Um, but with my early intervention job and my disability case management job, that was all local. I only drove local, but the fact that I had to see my clients so much, I was really I could make, especially with early intervention, seeing 5 people a day, every single day, Monday through Friday. And sometimes I would skip Friday and do like paperwork, but I could get like a $600 mileage check every pay period, just from driving that much. So you have the potential to make a fair amount of money doing social work. It's just basically up to you and what you choose to do. There are so many paths you can take with the social work degree. Um, it's not always easy, but the work is well worth it. So if you're interested in doing social work, I would say try it. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video if you would like to share it. And thank you so much for watching, and keep coming back for more. Bye.